Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we have the CEO of the Las Vegas Spaceport, Rob Lauer, and astronaut Jose Hernandez. A great show coming up here on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
It's a good time to win.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School for workwear and everyday wear. Evaporative coolers, outdoor living, Weber's, Traeger's, and Lodge. Fill your propane tanks here. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20,000 and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
It's a good time to play.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are delighted to welcome these two gentlemen to the program. Rob Lauer is the CEO of Las Vegas Spaceport, Inc., and a commercial real estate developer. And Jose Hernandez is the lead advisor to this project, and an Aerospace STEM Academy is what he's going to be leading when this project takes off. And he was also selected and served as flight engineer on STS-128 mission aboard Space Shuttle Discovery. Pleasure to have you both here.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
So Rob, let's start out with, what is a spaceport? Where is it going to be located in Nevada, and why?
So there are 14 spaceports currently throughout the country. There is none in Las Vegas, of course, or in Nevada. And I believe Nevada is probably the primary, the most amazing location to have a spaceport.
Why?
Well, first of all, we have obviously no income tax. We have no corporate income tax. We have a wealth of great pilots and great folks here. We have, of course, the tourism aspect. We have 39 million tourists, which are 15 minutes away from our 240 acres that I acquired in November last year.
Where exactly?
It's in Clark County. It's on the way to Pahrump. If you go online and you Google the Yellow Pine Solar Project, it's right on the other side of the highway. It's surrounded by 100,000 acres of government land. It's about 15 miles from Pahrump. So, but by air and from the strip, it's 15 miles. So right now we have water rights, we have a well, we have a road going in. We're working with the county right now to submit our plans to build a runway out there for next year. So we're moving forward.
How long is the runway?
Well, our planned runway will be at least 8,000 feet. It may end up going to 10, just depending on whether we can get a little more land from the BLM. So we're surrounded by BLM land, so we have that limitation.
Okay, and what kind of money are you going to need to bring this to reality?
Well, building a business to me is like building a brick wall. And every day I put a brick on that wall. And so right now our focus is getting the runway built and getting our STEM Academy up and running and getting our tourists up and running. So right now we're not looking to raise $310 million today, but that's the overall projected cost of the overall project. But right now we're looking at bringing in about $5 to $10 million to get, we want to get our STEM Academy going for next year. We want to get a planetarium on the Strip in Las Vegas and a heliport.
Why a planetarium on the Strip?
Well, we want to bring the spaceport to the Strip and, of course, engage the 39 million tourists so we can bring them in, get them educated, get them excited about the project, and have a heliport that'll bring them to the spaceport, where we plan to have several aircraft to start with, starting next year, a jet, probably a Falcon 50, to do parabolic zero-gravity flights, which we can do next year, and then also an L-39 fighter jet to give them rides to the edge of space. And so those are things we can start doing now, start doing next year. We're working with the FAA through the process to get that approved, and we want a runway up there by next April. That's our goal, to start operating. But we can start operating those aircraft really in North Las Vegas Airport pretty much right away.
Okay, would you have weightlessness going to the edge of space like that?
You know, the parabolic flights, which Jose is very familiar with, it's so scientific that they can actually simulate gravity on Mars versus gravity on the moon versus gravity in space. It's that scientifically precise. So not only is it just a fun thing to do for the average tourist and civilian, but it's real life training for space pilots that we plan to also work on creating. But it's also available for the industry, for creating satellites and other things to test new technologies in microgravity environments. So there's a lot of applications that are scientific, but also tourism based. And that's what's unique about the spaceport in Las Vegas. You know, I'd like to say, you know, there's spaceport in Mojave, there's one in Georgia, but there's only one Las Vegas. And the fact that we have 39 million tourists that we can bring in and provide a tourism experience to is like no other place on Earth, literally. And so that's why I think this facility has so much potential. And I always believe, I've been in business since I was 21. And the lessons I've learned is, the biggest lesson I learned is having multiple sources of income, right? Can't just depend on one source. So we want tourism, we want a STEM academy, because we want to build an industry, right? We want an industry here. And that's really part of my goal, is to build that industry. And that's where Jose, and I'm really proud that Jose Hernandez has joined our team. And a lot of people don't know, he was an astronaut with NASA. He's also an engineer. He's also a really smart guy. And so we're building a STEM academy, a 2-year quasi-military type academy, where they'll have cadets and they'll be going through a very high-speed engineering program. We want to kick out engineers, because that's really what we need. You could have all the money in the world today to build a rocket company, but if you don't have engineers, you're out of business. You need the human capital. So our focus right now is building human capital.
All right, I need to turn to Jose. Jose, I got your bio last night, and all 5 pages of it. I could spend the rest of the show just reading your resume out loud, and people will be enthused and excited to hear about it. As I said earlier, you're a former NASA astronaut. When did you first hear about this project, and what do you think about it?
Well, I first heard about it earlier this year, and I got excited about it. I think I ended up writing Rob in LinkedIn and saying, "Hey, this is exciting. You need any help? Be happy to talk about it." Then he reached out to me, and the rest, as you say, is history. Here we are. As Rob mentioned, you know, there's plenty of opportunity to develop spaceports, because it's a growing industry. And even though there's existing spaceports throughout the world, I think Las Vegas is a perfect spot for it, because you want to be able to bring the experience of space to an enthusiast that has any type of budget. And I think Rob has the vision that we can cater to the folks that want to go up in space for several days, which is very expensive, to the people that are happy staying on the ground and visiting something like a museum, if you will, where they can see relics of space engines and things of that nature. They learn about space, and then everything else in between. As he mentioned, a zero-G flight. It's an airplane that flies parabolas, and on the downside of the parabola, depending on the angle and speed, you can cancel gravity altogether for about 28 seconds, or you can adjust it so that it feels like you're on the moon or on Mars. And so there's going to be something for any budget if you're a space enthusiast at this spaceport. And we would have the audience that comes a lot, millions of people that come to Vegas. So I think it's a perfect site to have a spaceport.
Okay, so it seemed that for years that the American public had forgotten about space, and then in the last few years we've seen Elon Musk and SpaceX. We've seen Jeff Bezos. We've got three major companies that are all working on private industry for space. Is this getting the kind of excitement that you'd hoped for, enthusiasm for not just space here in a spaceport, but if I can expand it to the next moon mission, Mars mission, these kind of things? Do you see that excitement building?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially now, when we were in the Apollo era, we were just in awe that, we had NASA astronauts having the ability to go to the moon, surface the moon, and come back. I think this newfound excitement is the fact that it's not only for NASA astronauts anymore, it's a regular human being. If they really want to go to space, there's going to be an avenue to go into space. Now, space tourism right now is at a stage where the airline industry was back in 1911, 1912, where it was very expensive to fly on an airplane. If you remember, people used to wear ties and suits, and it was an elaborate affair to get on an airplane and fly from, say, New York to Miami, Florida. And it was a big deal, and it was very expensive. And the only reason the airlines survived was because they were subsidized by the government. The government contracted these airlines to do air mail. And so that's what kept them afloat until the technology caught up. They mass-produced airplanes, and costs came down to a reasonable where just about anyone can take an airplane ride anywhere for a reasonable cost. We're at the same situation right now with the space industry. These rocket providers that Rob mentioned, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, they get subsidized in a way with NASA in a different way than the airlines do. They don't take airmail, but what they do is they contract, for example, Blue Origin and SpaceX. They're working on they do resupply missions to the space station. They're working on a lunar lander, and so they get subsidized by contracts, while at the same time they're developing their tourism market. There's going to be a time when they won't need those NASA contracts, and the costs are going to be down enough that more people are going to be able to afford it. It's never going to be as cheap as getting on an airplane, but it's going to get cheap enough such that it's going to be a decision similar to, say, hey, do I buy a new car or do I take a trip in space for a couple of days, kind of thing. And I think it's going to come down to that. And I think Rob is doing the great thing in terms of positioning the Las Vegas spaceport to get ready for that, because they're going to need many spaceports. And the earlier we get into this market, I think the better off we are.
All right, so Rob, why do we need more spaceports? I mean, I understand you've got 14 already. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you could plug in Jose's energy into the world that we could all tap into, we could power without having to worry about any other kinds of coal power. But why do we need more spaceports?
That's a great question. So right now, SpaceX is basically monopolizing Cape Canaveral. They're launching a rocket every single week almost, going out for the next several years. And yet there are over 100,000 satellites that are on the books that go up to space over the next 10 years. So there's a capacity crisis right now. There's also what I believe is a new international space race between us, the Chinese, the Europeans, and so there's a race for access to space. There's a race for technology, for engineers, for resources out there. And so in order, the Chinese don't need to go through the FAA system to get a license to build a spaceport. We do. So we need to be able to get up to space and get people out there, and we need capacity. So our focus beyond the space tourism part is going to be on focusing on the smaller satellites, the 500-pound, the 1,000-pound satellites. And we're going to be announcing in the next couple of weeks a partnership with another company who's going to be providing access from our spaceport to space at a very low cost to provide access with low-cost rockets to space. So our plan also includes being able to provide those 100,000 satellites a place to go to launch into space, those satellites.
Jose, do you have concerns with companies like SpaceLink pushing so many satellites in, thousands of satellites in, that we're creating a problem, a traffic problem, should we say, out in space?
Well, you got to realize that once you're up there, it's very vast, and while you say there's thousands of low orbit satellites, that's true, but they're all traveling at about 17,500 miles an hour, and they go around the world once every 90 minutes, and so it's sort of like a train, if you will, because that's the key of low orbit satellites, as opposed to geosynchronous, which orbits with the Earth, so it's always facing the U.S. These in particular are only up about 200, 300 miles up, and they circle the Earth in continuous fashion, which means you have to have a chain of them so that anytime you look up there, there's 2 or 3 satellites up there, and they daisy chain the information, and you always have access. This is why Elon Musk says, hey, we're going to have internet. If you're in the middle of the Amazons and you want to watch DirecTV, you're going to be able to do it because that's what it is. Now, these satellites are cheaper, they're smaller, and they only have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. And then after that, they deorbit and they burn up in the atmosphere. So it's not like you're creating this space junk. The only ones that are up there are the ones that are operating, and then they get decommissioned and they come back to Earth. But I want to go back to something that Rob said earlier, in the sense that that why is it good also to have a spaceport in Las Vegas? Well, some of these companies, and I'll point to Virgin Galactic in particular, and probably Blue Origin, they're looking at creating suborbital intercontinental travel. In other words, if you live in Singapore and you got the urge to do some gambling in Las Vegas, instead of taking a 13, 15-hour flight, you take a suborbital flight that takes you about 90 minutes from the time you get into the rocket to when you land in Las Vegas from Singapore. And I think that's going to be a growing industry too. And so by us developing the spaceport in one of the world's major tourism centers, I think we're going to be in a great position to capture that part of the market as well.
Okay, Rob, just quick answer on this. I mean, realistically, in the next 5 to 10 years, what could you see the cost of a flight like that? Because the casinos obviously would love it.
So there are several companies that we're actually talking with. In fact, we just brought on our board of directors Megan Crawford. She is the co-founder of Space Fund. They've deployed over $100 million into SpaceX and other space-related companies. And they're working with a company called Radian, who's creating a space plane. So we're talking about a plane that can take off and land like an aircraft. It's going to be built of titanium, not aluminum, and it'll have scramjet, ramjet engines. It'll go Mach 5. This is
Mach 5.
Yes, this is within reality within 5 years. I know a company right now that's got the motor. They are tested it. It's already tested the Mach 5, and within a year they're going to have a vehicle to test. So by the end of this decade, I think it's very much a reality that we're going to have space planes that will be able to take off and land maybe 30, 40 passengers, and you'll be able to go into space, or you'll be able to go to Dubai in 2 hours. So that is a reality of the future. And I think we're right now in the technology space right now. I think we're where the airlines were in the 50s. I think we're a few years away from the 707, right? 1959, 1960, the 707 came out, and it was revolutionary. You could get on an airplane and fly from LA to New York in 5 hours. But you know what? It cost $400 back then, and it cost $1,800 to buy a house. So you put it in perspective, and today, with economy of scales, it's now $50 to get on a plane and go somewhere across the country. So with economy of scales, as with anything, things will come down. It may be 20, 30 years from now, but there's an old saying, there's always someone out there who wants to make less money, right? They're only willing to make less money if they can do economy of scale. And as technology grows, we can create more of these vehicles. Right now, it can take...
Okay, I have to take a break here because we have to make money to pay for this. So let's take a break and we'll be right back.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rob Lauer. He is developing this, the Las Vegas Spaceport, and astronaut Jose Hernandez. Jose, you have a movie coming out?
That's correct. It's on the Amazon platform called A Million Miles Away. It comes out in September, and look out for it in the platform. That's only about a month and a half away.
Okay, and just briefly, what's the story about?
It's a story of my life. As I grew up as a migrant farm worker here in California, my parents are from Mexico. I used to work in the fields picking cucumbers, 50 cents a bucket. And after seeing the very last Apollo mission, I was inspired to become an astronaut myself.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to see that. Stand by, we'll be right back. Boom, another break-in.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with astronaut Jose Hernandez and Rob Lauer, the CEO of the Las Vegas Spaceport. It sounds to me in all my conversations, and I had a conversation with an engineer at NASA not too long ago, this is a wonderful opportunity for women in STEM education.
Well, we believe STEM is where the future is. As we see the technology taking over the lower simple jobs, right, like truck driving, we're going to need higher educational jobs. We're going to need engineers, and we really do need engineers right now. You know, you can have $1 billion right now and try to start a rocket company, but if you can't hire engineers, you can't build a rocket. You can't start your business, and that's where we're at with this industry right now. There's a lot of companies right now trying to build rockets, trying to build new technologies, satellites. So we're announcing today that we're going to be starting a STEM Academy and starting to take applications later this year for next fall. We'll have our first year where we're going to have an actual STEM Academy, and Jose is going to be help leading that effort. His son is an engineer. I think he just graduated with a PhD. And so that is critical to this industry, is establishing that kind of education. So women, minorities, everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome, but it's going to be a tough grind. It's going to be 2 years, a military academy. They're going to be cadets. But at the end of it, it's going to be very rewarding. They're going to have an opportunity to work in this industry.
Okay, Jose, you get the last sentence here.
Yes, well, you know, India and China are producing a lot more engineers than us, and technology is the heartbeat of any nation's economy. So we've got to engage all segments of society and get them interested in STEM careers, and that's what Rob is trying to do with this STEM Academy.
Bravo to both you gentlemen. What an exciting show, what an exciting topic. I look forward to you both coming back and having more discussions on this and seeing it come to fruition. Thank you both, and we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
It's a good time to eat. It's a good time to play.
It's a good time to win.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.